Hey guys, welcome to my channel where all I talk about is domain format. My name's Jesse, and today domain format was in the spotlight for a bit because TCG Player wrote an article about it, introducing players how to play. It was very good, very thorough, very accurate. I highly recommend checking it out just to support the author, Tyler Berger. I had the crazy idea to share the article on Reddit to see if I could get anybody to comment and react or give impressions or, whatever. The post ended up being pretty popular. It was on the front page of our Yugioh for the whole day that it was up. And I got the chance to go back and forth with a lot of people about the format, their criticisms, their first impressions, yada yada, which is what we're gonna go over right now. It's quite entertaining, to be honest, so I'm excited to get to it. But first, if you like what I do here, you can support me directly by joining my Patreon. I have multiple tiers, all with different benefits, but all the tiers have access to my personal Discord where I like to share a little bit more personal stuff about myself and give info, updates, yada yada. I also, as you will see, be streaming on Twitch. You guys can join me there. I try and stream twice a week, but the best thing you can do is free. You can just like the video, subscribe if you're not. It really helps YouTube show my videos to more people, and the more people learn about domain format, the better. With that said, let's jump into it. Hey guys, Jesse here. I'm making a video because something pretty exciting happened. We got some official attention from TCG Player. We got an article written by a TCG article writer, Tyler Berger. Very exciting stuff because my friend sent me a screenshot of a notification saying that TCG Player told him about this article. That's kind of crazy. I don't know. He has the TCG Player app. He must have the notifications on, but the fact that he got one is kind of cool. We're also going to go over the criticisms that this got over on Reddit, which the only reason I'm going over it isn't to like brigade the Reddit or anything or the thread or make fun of anybody. It's purely just to like address the concerns that are brought up in the thread, because it got quite a bit of attention. It was on the front page for the day that it was posted up. But first, we can go over the article a little bit. It's pretty, if you already know about domain, it's pretty straightforward. You're not going to learn anything new if you already know about domain. But Tyler Berger does a really good job of, oh, that's so funny. His ad on Twitter is hamburger time. This guy has to play New Veils, right? First off, I want to kind of pat myself on the back here because I reached out to Tyler Berger myself. Tyler, if you're watching this, thank you for taking my message and responding. This article is quite thorough and accurate. So Tyler really did his research. I did not help him at all. He didn't ask me a single question. He just probably consumed a lot of my content and went into I definitely saw him in the Discord. So he probably learned everything on his own, which is really impressive before writing this article. He really did his research. It's a good thing about article writers. So props to Tyler. But like I said, if you already know about domain, like there's nothing in here that's you're not going to know or learn. Nothing's gonna be new to you. The cool thing is that while he's going over everything, he shows off cards kind of like as examples. The other cool thing, all these cards he's showing off are pretty budget. That's obviously one of the benefits of domain. I think you can build quite a lot of cool decks for pretty cheap. Going over the differences between like Raigeki, Mirror Force, Trinade, Dark Hole, all that fun stuff. So if you want to check it out yourself, it'll be linked down below. I wish there was a way to like comment, because it'd be really cool if people could comment and say thank you to Tyler. Nope, there's no way to like thumbs up it or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe if it gets clicks, that'll be the determining factor. But this has a lot of implications. This could mean that TCG Player possibly could have their article writers start writing about domain semi-frequently, frequently. That's kind of crazy to me. This is really big for the acceptance of domain to the masses, really. The typical Yu-Gi-Oh player. And this is so crazy, man. If you would have told me the day that I found out about domain format that TCG Player would start writing, or at the very least write a single article on how to play, I think it's huge. Because I was so excited about it, I decided to share the article on Reddit because it's really big, and I kind of was curious to see what the reaction would be. I've posted about domain format on Reddit before. Reddit mods don't like it because they consider it advertising, I guess, self-promotion. To be fair, it is. I haven't had too much success sharing things on Reddit, but this, I made sure not to like mention my YouTube channel. I made sure not to mention the domain format website, and it got through. I just shared the article link, gave a TL, too long didn't read, spark notes of the rules, and said that the official Discord is at 4,600 people, which I think is all good evidence for why people should maybe take notice. I wasn't expecting too much, but right now I am gonna try and go over some of the comments because some people brought up concerns, or to be quite honest, a lot of people with, to be fair, probably no experience in the format had very strong opinions about it. I'm gonna try and dispel some of those things. Let us see what Reddit has to say about domain format. This is the fact that this is the highest rated comment too. It's kind of like, so this is just Commander but Yu-Gi-Oh? That's a very basic way to put it. I know Michael tries to avoid making comparisons because, well, I won't put words in his mouth, but I don't think that domain was designed purely off of Commander. From what I remember, he says that he was interested in Hydrolander. He liked the Deckmaster idea. He and Josiah went from there. Okay, so, you know, people can call it what they want. A lot of other people make the comparison all the time. And to be honest, when I'm trying to like quickly give people an idea of what the format is like, I will often say that it gives off Commander vibes. Okay, all right. So in that sense, sure, it's just Commander by Yu-Gi-Oh! And with no lands. It's an attempt at that, though not sure how much it actually fulfills the fantasy desire for casual Yu-Gi-Oh! Really, bro? You think, oh gosh, this type of stuff, man. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it through this Reddit thread without getting mad. How can they, I don't know if Luigi SP plays a lot of domain, but how would you particularly know if it does or doesn't fill the desire for casual Yu-Gi-Oh? I don't know, man. From my perspective, it very much fulfills the desire for casual Yu-Gi-Oh. It gives me the perfect opportunity to play pretty much literally any deck I want to play, with the idea that the focus is on just like hanging out with my friends and having fun. So any deck can really compete, I guess if you want to say compete, it has a chance at winning. You know the really bad dual terminal archetype Worms? I've seen Worms win a pod, okay? The really bad flip monsters, they won a game, okay? I personally also think that it gives room for you to kind of, you know, stretch those deck building muscles and build interesting stuff like Draco here, who's built Group Hug with Slifer. It's a very interesting deck. If you can actually see the deck in the card market video where they play domain, it'll be linked up below. You'll see a card pop up here, hopefully. Mihai says, domain's been the best attempt at casual format, or Yu-Gi-Oh format I've ever played in IRL. Totally agreed. So this is kind of a common problem I have, or I don't know if it's a problem, but this comes up very often whenever I introduce the idea of domain to other player. They kind of have very strong opinions off of it without seemingly having the experience to go with it. Again, I don't know how much Luigi has played. I'm not crazy about it. I'd really like to see a better supported casual focused tag team format rather than free-for-all. Tag team feels much more Yu-Gi-Oh! Crazy idea. Domain tag duel. you can do it. There's people that play tag duels in the domain format Discord. Somebody says, have you tried it? It's very popular among those who have. Yeah, I agree. This man plays domain. I can tell. No ban list seems extremely questionable to me. It seems trivially easy to just slap a Gumblar in the extra deck and rip everyone's hand, for example. There's plenty of Cybers or Dark Deckmasters that can enable it. Now, let's, Mr. Hero Photon, can you please share Gumblar with the rest of the class? Let's take a look at it. So, for everybody who doesn't know, Topologic Gumblar Dragon is a Link 4. He says if another monster is special summoned to his zone, a Link monster points to while this monster is on the field, discard 1 or 2 random cards, then your opponent discards the same number. During your main phase, if this card's extra linked and your opponent has whatever, you can make them discard more. Okay, so the extra linked part is probably not what they're talking about. They're probably talking about the first effect, which says you can discard 1 or 2 cards, then your opponent discards the same number. Unbeknownst to the Reddit commenter, I'm sure, this has to target a player. You can only pick one of your opponents to discard 1 or 2 random cards. It does not make each opponent discard 2 cards. Becomes much harder to hand loop people in domain. Now, that I'll give that to them. And this happens a lot. People that don't have or fully understand the rules or don't have enough experience with the format kind of think things that are broken in advanced are also broken in domain. I let them know that I have this video talking about how hard it is to do stuff because you can get ganged up on in Domain, and you really have to think of card advantage differently in Domain. And in a card that pops up here, you can check out what video I'm talking about. They say they've watched the video, but their biggest gripe with no ban list is that it makes it deck building too samey. I don't know about that, because personally, whenever I'm building a deck, I'm usually trying to mix more than one engine. Or if a deck has a really big engine like Heroes, you could totally fill out a deck with Heroes. But the cards that feel samey, I mean, are things like Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, you know, that type of stuff. Board Breakers, Interaction, Imperm, that type of stuff. But those things are necessary. I mean, nobody groans when somebody plays Pot of Greed on turn 1. Like, they might just to be funny, but usually somebody makes a "what's that do" joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. The worst Pot of Greeding on turn 1 is not the worst thing you can do. I don't think the deck building is too samey. I don't know, man. You can vary the amount of interaction you want to play. You can self-regulate the power level of the deck by not playing too many really good, you know, don't play Dark Ruler no more. Don't play Forbidden Chalice, Droplet, you know, the interactable stuff. I don't know, man. I don't think it's too samey, but that's just me. I could be wrong. Draco says, I feel like the sameness described here is an individual player issue rather than the format-wide issue. You can 100% play some goofy cards and make them work. Yeah, totally agree. I have trouble cutting down 260 cards. Even when using stuff like Pot of Greed, you still have over 30 slots to fill with synergy. Totally agreed. With a ban list, deck building can become samey. Staples are staples with or without a ban list. True. Yeah, even with a ban list like they're suggesting, cards usually rise to the top when it comes to like their frequency in play. I can almost see it if you consider only the absolute top of the power, but even then I feel like the pool is still pretty wide. Yeah, like for example, we have a lot of Discord resources available, and many people have made different staples lists, and they're all very different. Like, I made a list of 60 staples, and I need to update it because it's like, it doesn't even have DD post, which is a crime. But yeah, a lot of people consider different cards like absolute must plays. Other people consider things like meh, and it's like vice versa for other people. It's not any less samey than normal Yu-Gi-Oh. That's, I mean, everybody, like, if you're picking a hand trap, there's about 5 hand traps, right? Man, do I get shocked when I see the 99th Ash Blossom. True. And only some decks can play Ash Blossom in Domain. You know, and it's not even that good. Like, 1-for-1ing in Domain is terrible. I love how cards that random come in modern sets that would never be considered for meta can have a new life in Domain and considered good. Makes you read the so-called throwaway cards. Oh yeah, for sure. I can understand the notion of not having a ban list, but I think it's detrimental to the community. Okay, again, no offense to McGill, but this seems to come from a perspective of less experience with the format. You know, for example, I'm gonna clip another, or put a card up for another video here, but I have a game where the Teelermans player starts with Painful Choice. That card's busted. It's especially busted in tier limits. They lose that game because everybody else gangs up on them. Okay. Yo, Metagames GX, becoming a member, dude. You're a real one. Thanks, brother. Yu-Gi-Oh players do not have the casual mindset Commander does, and a ban list would help get across that concept. It would go very far in helping Yu-Gi-Oh players realize it's not about finding the best deck ever. Bro. I'm sorry, man, but that seems so wrong. Yu-Gi-Oh players do not have the casual mindset. Has this man ever watched like the dual-tainers on TikTok? There's absolutely a huge market for casual players. I don't know what this guy's on, man. I don't think a ban list would force people to dig deeper and find like more casual cards. So I don't know what this guy's talking about. Being introduced to a new format with a long ban list is an easy way to stimmy new players by front loading what they need to learn and why. Yes, Mihai, you make an amazing point. Introducing like a very heavy-handed ban list, I think it's detrimental, because that's exactly what kept me out of Trinity. Not to crap on Trinity or anything. I think it's a cool format, but like literally like the first deck I thought of, most of the cards were banned. The second deck I was like, okay, I'll try this instead. Banned. And I was like, okay, well, come on, man. Really? Lab is banned in Trinity? Come on. Okay, next comment. Let's move on. This person also seems to agree that Yu-Gi-Oh players are not casual oriented. Again, I disagree. Domain format's grown from 0 to 4,600 people And we all do goofy goober shit all the time. Does this format work 1v1 or does it have to be 4-player? I think domain 1v1 is a bad idea. It's not something I would choose to play. You can play 1v1. I think you're gonna have a bad time though, because a lot of the reason that no ban list isn't a big deal in 4-player is gone 1v1. And there's so many guaranteed combos you could do with certain deck masters, like starters. It would just come down to like whoever goes first, and you would have no hand traps to fight against the person going first, because of you would have, you know, singleton 60 card, and your domain would require, it would stop what you could or couldn't play. I don't think it'd be good. I think you would have to make a separate, I think you would have to make a ban list for a 1v1 domain, but that's just me. That's the only way I would play 1v1 domain. There's also a lot more variability in 4-player. That's totally true. Yeah, I just prefer 4-player. Is there any way to play it online? Yes, there is. We have untap.in, which is a manual website, TCG Arena, which is also a manual website, and one that I'm very interested in trying more of because it was very nice looking. And there's a tabletop mod, a tabletop simulator on Steam. There's a mod for it. If you know anything about tabletop sim, you know it's very nice. Again, manual. There's no automatic sim yet. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but if it does, it'll be huge. This is something that comes up very, very often. So how can I play a deck like Salamangrates, which need 2 copies of extra deck monsters? Unfortunately, Salamangrate does get hit a little bit. You can alleviate that by playing 4-Mud Skipper as a deck master, which is a Cybers monster that lets you reveal an extra deck monster to gain its name at the very least. I think it also takes its attribute and type, maybe. At the very least, it takes its name, so you can use it as a material for that very same Salamangrate monster and get its extra effects. So there is workarounds. The same thing comes up with like things like, well, how can I run Blue Eyes with only 1 Blue Eyes? How can I run Dark Magician with only 1 Dark Magician? There's lots of workarounds. Lots of people play Dark Magician and Blue Eyes and Harpies even. You can play all that stuff in domain still. Furthermore, there's something we refer to as Rule 0, where you can build something that's very close to whatever, you know, the official domain rules, but you kind of break one small rule. For instance, I have seen people ask if it's okay to play 2 or 3 Blue Eyes in the same deck, 3 Harpies ladies in the same deck. That's a very common thing to Rule 0. If I don't know, if you want to try and play salads with like 2 copies of the monsters in the extra deck, I don't think anybody really care all that much. The important thing is you ask the table before starting the game. Have a pre-game conversation. Me personally, my favorite thing to do is to use skill cards. I think skill cards are fun, and I'll ask people beforehand. Typically that's something I want to plan out, because then they have to look for a skill card they want to use. There's many examples of people kind of bending the rules a little bit to fit, and just so you know, the guys that run domain don't have an issue with this whatsoever. The only thing where they'd have to be absolutely to the T on the rules is if they ever do a tournament, which we have done tournaments before, I should say. In tournaments, you would have to stick to the rules 100%. If you're playing with your friends, we literally cannot stop you from playing however you want. And we tell people that. You want to play Umi and a Legendary Ocean? Go for it. You know what I'm saying? How often do people Rule 0 in a ban list or a power level check? Is it harmful to the community if people implement a ban list for their own table? I don't think so at all. Crayons. One thing I see that's kind of pretty common before a game is people will be like, hey, look, I don't want to play against like Gozen match, or there can be only one, or summon limit. You know, like the really oppressive floodgates. That's one thing I've seen that's pretty common to ask about before game starts. There's even a card I wouldn't want to play against. Last turn. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with last turn. I don't want to deal with the headache of arguing about how it resolves. I don't want to do it. I'm sorry. Me personally, I'm just not playing against last turn. Sorry. That's just me though. In a tournament, whatever, it's fair game. I usually ask for power level checks when getting a pod together. Same. I do the exact same thing. If 2 people are like trying out a brand new deck that they're not sure how it's going to work out and they're not playing floodgates, I'll switch off to a more casual deck. All cool, I just don't like the only 1 copy of a card rule. I don't understand why it has to be that way. I don't know what to tell you. You can Rule 0 stuff, like I said. I genuinely encourage people who, like, if your biggest holdup is the 1 of copy of a card rule, I would genuinely encourage you to come into the domain Discord, build a deck by our rules, and then have an alternate version of that deck that has the multiple copies that you want. Like, say you really just want to run 3 Blue Eyes or whatever. And then before playing a game, just ask people like, hey man, I have 2 versions of this deck. One that has 1 Blue Eyes and one that has 3 Blue Eyes. That's literally the only difference. Do you guys care if I play with the 3 Blue Eyes or whatever? Whatever the card is that this guy has really wants to play multiples of. I really feel like most people wouldn't care. I'm gonna be real. My friend is starting a group of people playing Domain, but only up to hat format. It's kind of sick. I love hearing this. If obviously different time periods speak to different levels for different people. A lot of people have really good memories of GOAT format, really good memories of hat format or whatever. If you have a really big group of people playing Edison, for instance, and you want to try this, but Edison only, I think you should 100% try it out. I think in GOAT format, it'd be kind of stale because like the chaos monsters would just be the best deck masters, probably. That's just first impression for me. But yeah, you can definitely play Domain in a certain time period that you like. It's totally doable. This guy says Royal Magical Library. What? Oh, with Royal Magical Library as your deck master, you could build an Yugioh deck, or you can do Necroface plus Soul Absorption as a Grand Maju deck. Yeah, you can build a Royal Magical Library deck. This is actually a funny idea. Royal Magical Library as your deck master, which if you guys don't know, it says whenever you activate a spell, put a spell counter on it, you can remove 3 to draw a card. So if you just played the 5 pieces of Yugioh and 55 spells, some magic could happen. But I don't see you landing Royal Magical Library after turn 1. Sorry. Like, that might be able to steal a game on turn 1 if you go first. Any other time, I don't think that's ever going to pop off. So it's going to feel kind of gimmicky. On the other hand, I have played a Necroface deck, and Necroface is peak. You can play all the cards that banish your stuff. Gizmic Orochi, all the pots that banish cards, the Maikashi, the Shiranui, all those things banish themselves, and you can just get them all back and then get like a big 3,500, 4,000 attack Necroface. It's very fun. I highly recommend trying it out. That deck feels a lot less gimmicky. Well, I should say it still feels gimmicky, but with actually like a better game plan. I like it a lot. Grand Maju is also interesting. I don't know how that would work out. The main issue I see with this idea, though I really like it, is that Yu-Gi-Oh no longer has a sense of tempo plays. There's no pacing to keep everyone on the same sort of even playing field board development point. So one player is inevitably going to get eliminated very quickly from the pod, the monopoly problem, or else one will instant win an alternate win con, even with artificial limitation of no battle phase until the 4th player's turn. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. He thinks in Domain there's no sense of tempo plays. Interesting. This man's never seen a Dark Hole resolve in Domain, I'm guessing. I still think there's like a sense of tempo in Yu-Gi-Oh in Domain. Well, okay, here's the other thing. In Advanced, you're trying to build like the biggest, best board on turn 1, typically. Unless you're like some sort of floodgate player that just plays like the freaking Fossil Dyna and sets 3 floodgates. That's a different deck. Mostly though, in Yu-Gi-Oh! In Advanced, you're trying to like do the biggest, craziest card advantage engine you can do on turn 1 with the most negates and yada yada. Most interruptions, right? It's different in Domain. In Domain, you have to think of card advantage differently. Again, my video kind of introducing people to the basics of Domain goes over that. And because of that, you're heavily rewarded for building like value engines. Things that can keep the gas going later on in the game perform much better than build a board 3 negates or whatever, because you can just get sphere moded. You know, like it's just different. So, and there's still tempo plays, like for instance, the monsters that say they can attack each opponent's monster, like the Dinosaur, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, and like Chaos Archfiend, things that say they can attack every single monster your opponent controls is applied to each opponent, so you can literally take out everything in play if you have a big enough monster that can do that. There are ways to make tempo plays in Domain. There's no pacing to keep everybody on the sort of even playing field. So I will say the type of deck that feels like they have more tempo than other decks are the type of decks that can play on every single turn. Telerments, absolutely bonkers in Domain. They are doing stuff every single turn. Fusion summoning, sending, activating something in the graveyard, bouncing this, you know, sending the Telerments fusions back so they can fuse again. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff every single turn. Same thing with something like Labyrinth. Labyrinth can play on every single turn. They activate the furniture, they activate the traps that like destroy monsters. the furniture come back and you can do it again. Those are the kind of decks that have like the best tempo feel, in my opinion. And they do have an advantage over a lot of decks that don't plan on playing on other turns. But this kind of comes down to like power match or power scaling, matching the table. I wouldn't sit there and play lab against 3 people that had never played domain before. You know what I'm saying? One player is inevitably going to get eliminated very quickly from the pod. You know, a lot of the times in my games, people will specifically avoid doing that. So I guess you're right. If you're playing with people who like want to play optimally, yes, it's kind of common to get in a situation where like somebody could be eliminated pretty early. But it's not super common. I sit down with my friends to play domain to like have fun. So a lot of times what ends up happening is, you know, whoever, you know, there's 4 players and like somebody can get out of hand. They're in the lead. They get brought down a notch. And then the other people kind of chill out until like somebody else is a threat, you know? I don't know. If you're having this kind of problem with your group, maybe talk to them. Be like, hey man, maybe don't kill me just because you can. I don't know. Or here's another thing you can do. Build your deck slightly differently to be able to defend yourself a little bit better. I know that kind of sounds like victim blaming, but it is an option you have. Or else one will instant win with an alternate win condition, even with artificial limitation of no battle phase. I've honestly only ever seen like, I've never even seen an Yugioh win in domain yet. But I don't play as much as like the people who are playing every single day in the Discord, who play like on the remote sims. What do they mean by alternate win con? I'm not sure exactly. Like there's very few cards that say you win the game. Yugioh is the first thing I think of, and it's not easy to pop off with Yugioh in domain. Yeah, again, I don't know. A lot of this seems to come from like inexperience in the format, and I don't say that to be mean. I just say that because it seems to be a very common thing that Yu-Gi-Oh players have very strong opinions about domain, even though they never played before. Domain is kind of broken, and it really needs to accept the fact that it needs a ban list and a set of house rules for domains. Okay, bro. Domain format is kind of broken. I mean, one of the draws is that we get to play every banned card ever, and it does feel cool. Slap it down, painful choice feels pretty peak, not gonna lie. But whenever I slam down a painful choice, it's not like, I'm gonna win automatically now. I still gotta earn that W, you know? Like the other people can just choose to gang up on me and kill me. So it doesn't feel like an auto win, and it doesn't feel oppressive. So for that reason, that's like the main reason why, or from my understanding, that's the main reason why domain hasn't had a ban list yet. If you can smack down painful choice and still lose, is painful choice a problem? I don't know. So discount commander. Come on. This is meaning to be like very demeaning. I really love the Yu-Gi-Oh community to get behind a format like this one, where it's got a separate ban list free from Konami. This looks fun, but as all things Yu-Gi-Oh, seems like it has a high amount of knowledge you need to learn before you can really play it, mostly due to how clunky Yu-Gi-Oh card rulings and text is in general. Okay, I have 2 major things to say about this comment. I really wish the Yu-Gi-Oh community would get behind a format like this one, where it's got a separate ban list free from Konami. Not even in the sense of domain, I genuinely am baffled that like Yu-Gi-Oh players as a community haven't done something about this already. Who in their right mind thinks Konami's doing a good job with the ban list? I think everybody can agree that for the most part, Konami's ban list have more to do with selling product than balancing a format. And because of that, I don't know, it'd be really hard, obviously, because for the next 30 years, people would argue about what should be banned. Yu-Gi-Oh players will argue for the next 30 years about what should be banned. But I don't know, man. Magic the Gathering players have no problem setting up their own formats. Tiny leaders, pauper, peasant, commander, block constructed. Like there's so many crazy formats. Oathbreaker. I don't know. Coming from Magic to Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm honestly surprised there hasn't been more community spawning to create the type of game they want to play and creating their own separate ban list. Which, now to be fair, there are other formats like Trinity, Common Charity, Heart of the Underdog. I think stores should utilize Heart of the Underdog way more than they do. But for the most part, it seems way more common with Magic than it does with Yu-Gi-Oh. So I agree. I think more people should get behind the type of format that fosters the environment they would like to see, and the best tool they have is creating their own ban list. And then the other part of this, it seems like you need a high amount of knowledge that you need to learn before you can really play it, mostly to do how clunky Yu-Gi-Oh card rulings in text is in general. The main thing I want to say about this is, personally, I've learned more playing Domain than Advanced ever taught me. And there's a few reasons why. I see a lot more cards than I normally do in, say, Master Duel. Like in Master Duel, there's probably like 10 decks that are the most common decks to see played against me. And while I do learn some things about the interactions there, the downside is Master Duel doesn't explain to you why things happen the way they did. You just have to frantically read before your timer runs out and hope you can piece the things together. In Domain, people will say, oh yeah, Witch of the Black Forest is categorized as a mandatory effect, so that has to be Chainlink 1, and then this will be Chainlink 2, and yada yada yada. Like, there's people there to explain, and they're more than, at least in my experience, they're more than happy to explain card rulings to you, or maybe take a second to like look up on their phone what a card ruling is. And people will be pretty honest and straight up about what their deck does. Because like in 1v1, you don't want to say like, yeah, this branded fusion, you should really ash, because if you don't, I'm going to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody doesn't know what branded fusion does, they're going to have no idea what they're up for if they let it go through. Whereas with like the decks that I play, I'm playing Chimera. I will tell them, look, I got 2 negates in my graveyard because of these, because I have this in play. This counts as Chimera Waltz in play. The 2 Chimera fusions have graveyard activated effects. One's a Monster Reborn and one's a Monster Reborn from Banish. I can very quickly and easily explain like the way my deck works, and I'll be honest about it because it just makes the game go faster. I've noticed that from other players too. I've learned about more archetypes playing Domain than I ever did playing in Master Duel. Commander's the worst thing that happened to Magic. Please don't do it to Yu-Gi-Oh too. Okay, aside from the cringe tag, I can't take this very seriously. Commander's literally the best thing to happen to Magic from like a Wizards of the Coast perspective and from like a casual player perspective. I will say I don't like how Wizards of the Coast started making Commander specific cards, and those got power crept really, really bad. That's my personal opinion, though. I wouldn't say because of that, Commander's the worst thing that happened to Magic. Like, come on. My fear is that Yu-Gi-Oh starts making pre-made Commander booster boxes. I don't know, man. I don't think Konami's ever going to make like Deckmaster pre-constructed decks, because okay, first off, Konami's never going to say, hey, we made a Domain format pre-constructed deck. What they're gonna do, much like how they tried to acknowledge GOAT format, instead of calling it GOAT format, they created Time Wizard, right? And then they created, Time Wizard events, when in actuality it's just like how people play GOAT and Edison. What they'll do is instead they'll say, we've made Deckmaster pre-constructed decks, so now people can play Deckmaster. Did you know you could play it in 4-player? You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll just do something similar to Time Wizard, but for Deckmaster. They'll update their rules, or they'll add in 4-player variation rules for Deckmaster. If they ever do that, I think that'll be a great day for Domain. Yeah, so this again is very like simplistic. It's dismissive. Unfortunately, this is a very common response that I get, and I don't pay too much attention to it, to be honest. I'm doing it now just to kind of show that, like, I don't know, man. That's like your opinion, dude. Oh, okay. This one really grinds my gears. You know how much I hate the word arbitrary now? Like, this is an inside joke between me and Michael, but man, we've seen the word arbitrary so many times or at least I have since joining the Domain Discord. The number one word that critics like to use. I would be interested in the concept if not for the arbitrary deck building restrictions. I don't know what they have to do with Deckmasters as a concept. Really? I don't know, man. Like, arbitrary is... What's even like the specific definition of arbitrary? Based on random choice or personal whim, rather than any reason or system. I think this person is using the word arbitrary wrong. Like, okay, first off, it is not random. The format was tested extensively by Michael and Josiah. There were rule changes to improve those things. Personal whim, I mean, if you want to call the fact that like Michael conceived the format with Josiah when like they wanted to include more than 2 people in a Domain game, or sorry, a Yu-Gi-Oh game, so that kind of kickstarted off the whole inception of a way to play with more than 2 people as personal whim, sure, that's personal whim, I guess. Like the fact that they went on to like create a Discord with 4,600 people in it, yeah, just personal whim, man, rather than any reason or system. Oh boy, look, man. I don't know how to spell it out any other way. It's anything but arbitrary. But to call them arbitrary, man, just really grinds my gears. That's so like dismissive of the amount of time that's been put into playtesting, getting feedback from players, getting feedback from, you know, the people who play the most, all the people in the Discord. Tournament results, like there's people doing tournaments through, I think it's like topdeck.gg. Okay, to end the arbitrary arc, it's used a lot and I'm tired of it. Forcing people to play 60 cards doesn't make sense to me. Why not let them play 40, especially when you can only have one copy of a card? And no ban list is really dumb when you have cards like Imperial Order or 6th Sense. Forcing people to play 60 cards doesn't make sense. Well, we're not forcing anybody to do anything. And I didn't make the rules. But I like 60 cards. It increases the variancy between decks, even and between games, even to the point like even picking the same starter can still lead to pretty drastically different games because of the variancy. If people were playing 40 cards, I don't know, man. I already have enough trouble cutting a deck down to 60. I can't imagine trying to cut it down to 40. No ban listing is really done when you have cards like Imperial Order or 6th Sense. It's really adorable in a way that these are the 2 worst cards they could think of. I don't know, man. Imperial Order, like, yeah, that sucks. That kind of falls under the category of, like, it sucks to play against floodgates, but, you know, they're kind of part of the game. There's so many monsters that pop cards now that I think Imperial Order is way less of a big deal. 6th Sense is hilarious, sir. I'll have you know. Milling 1 to 4 cards or drawing 5 to 6 cards? Peak. You have not played Yu-Gi-Oh until you've resolved a 6th Sense before. I think people really need to realize how diluted some of these things get, these cards get when you're playing against 2 other people. Yeah, like literally my video with Captain America on the thumbnail goes over so many things that like reframe the way you think of a Yu-Gi-Oh game from the context of Domain. It's really 10 out of 10 watch. I couldn't recommend it enough for new people. I never understood the obsession with Highlander. These cards are not designed with it in mind, and it makes deck either bricky or you're forced to play tons of different engines. Well, just because you don't understand the obsession with Highlander doesn't mean it's automatically like not fun. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean other people can't possibly like it. To be fair, Highlander seems to be a pretty common way to change up a way a format's played, whether it's Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh. The cards are not designed with it in mind. That's very true. I will give them that. There's a lot of cards that become immediately unusable with a singleton rule set. And it makes the deck bricky or you're forced to play a ton of different engines. I don't know how much is a ton, but I personally really like trying to find 2 or 3 engines that work really, really well together. It's rewarding, I would even say. Like, what's this? Like my trusty old Blue Dragon Summoner deck. This is Gaia, the Dragon Champion, plus Blue Eyes, plus Dark Magician. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I like trying to find engines that work well together. 2-engine decks aren't even too hard to build. I would agree. You can probably take most like engines that even remotely work well together at all and build a Domain deck. We got a subscriber. I'm Tarkizio Jr. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Rip Skull Servant. That's where you're wrong. I got a buddy that loves playing Skull Servant. What are you talking about? There's cards that consider themselves Skull Servant while in the graveyard. There's like 9 of them. The assumption that it makes decks bricky can be alleviated by picking a starter deckmaster. What I mean by that is something like Elemental Hero Stratos, which says when it's summoned, you get to go search for a card, and hopefully that card will unbrick you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this guy got very argumentative, I remember. I mentioned increasing variation between games. Restrictions typically breed creativity. So there's a lot more cards that get played that people would call pack filler, but turn out to be amazing, like DD Post. And then I link my very cool video, DD Post, the video about DD Post. You should watch it. It's a whole video about a common card. It's amazing. They go on to say, why do you even want higher variation between games? Why don't you... Like, this guy's like, don't you want to do the exact same optimal combo every single game? Why would you want to do anything else? You want the opposite, less variation, because less variation means less luck involved and higher skill expression. So the reason variation is fun is because you can build a deck and have variation between games. Like, not the same thing is happening. And when there's more interactions between a larger pool of cards, weird things happen, okay? Like, I wish I could think of something specific, but there's been so many times. Okay, here's a perfect example. Really quick, we're gonna watch a TikTok. We're gonna watch a TikTok that completely encapsulated the spirit of Domain. Okay, let's look up our good friend Shiny Plume, who got the moment on a TikTok. Let's see, Shiny Plume. I got to meet this guy, very cool guy. We hung out at Nats. Here we go. All right, we're gonna watch a Domain moment, if ever there was a Domain moment. I'm gonna make sure you guys can hear it.
No, you don't have to. All right, so no cards in hand. Top deck Pot of Avarice. Shuffle back. Fiber jar. We're back in it, boys.
He drew it. He shuffled and drew it. Yeah. And then deadpan set a card and passed.
Yeah. I love Domain formats.
He literally, he was like at his wit's end. Okay, he just got like taken out. He had a set Fiber Jar and it got destroyed by a card effect. It went to the graveyard. He's very sad. Okay, on his turn, he has nothing in play, nothing in hand. Top deck Pot of Avarice, the perfect top deck, of course. And he shuffles back Fiber Jar and 4 extra deck monsters. Do you know what this does? This maximally increases the chances of drawing Fiber Jar. He shuffles. I cut him. I say, bro, give me that deck. I am cutting you. I cut him. And he just draws 2. No expression. He goes, I just gotta set a monster and pass. And I go, that's fucking Fiber Jar, isn't it? And it was. Okay. These are the crazy things that can possibly happen when you have higher variancy between your games. And okay, yes, that was a very lucky moment, but it's very memorable. Okay, I'm gonna remember that for probably like the rest of my life. That was a really cool moment. As far as only being able to like have skill expression through like the most optimally built deck, I don't know about that, because if you have a suboptimal deck and you want to play, like, you kind of get more chances to screw up. I don't know. I still think it takes a lot of skill to play a Domain deck that has a lot of interaction really, really well. That's his opinion. We have a different opinion as far as like what higher skill expression is. Yu-Gi-Oh is a combo game, not a control game. So you're telling me the guy that plays Fossil Dyna set 3 Floodgates is not playing a control game? You're telling me there's no control that, like, what would you call, it's a Runic, there we go. Like, would you not call Runic a control strategy? I don't know, man. Okay, so whatever. He's probably just kind of like grasping at like specific things to point out that like it's bad that it's singleton. I don't know, man. It doesn't feel good to not be able to play because you're missing combo pieces. Again, I don't know, man. You can still very much have a very strong control over whether or not you're going to brick a lot in Domain. If you pick a starter, you're good. If you pick a starter that can get different things on different turns, even better. For instance, like Lo, the voiceless voice chick, which I played against at Anaheim as well, or NAWCQ. If like you pick a boss monster as your deck master and then don't play enough stuff to get you started, maybe you should not play a boss monster as your deck master. In my branded deck, I have Bestial Dissipator as my deck master because it gives me access to light and dark, and that's everything I need. And I like this guy. This guy's cool. The branded archetype is so vast that I literally cannot, like, okay, it's not like impossible to brick, but it's very, very difficult. It happens very, very rarely. If I was tired of bricking, I would change my deck master to something else that could possibly start my plays. So anyway, not to mention you hurt too many strategies. Okay, look, I don't know if you know this, but like literally every strategy is hurt by not being able to play 3-0s. Just saying. Everybody's on the same boat, man. In Domain, anyway. Especially decks that were supposed to be grindy, like Sky Striker. How can they outgrind their opponents if they run out of resources in a single turn? It's almost like resource management's like really, really important in Domain. In case you don't know, it really, really is. Sky Striker is crazy good in Domain, though, says Sakuraba. Sakuraba, have you played Sky Striker? Or have you seen somebody play Sky Striker? How'd that go? Did they run out of resources in a single turn and were dead? I've seen someone play it. It was extremely grindy. Couldn't get rid of Ray. Crazy. Who would have thunk? Thank you, Sakuraba, for your input. Now, this is the part that I remember being most upset about this comment. They quote me saying, where I mentioned restrictions typically breed creativity. No, they don't. People will just play the best cards available regardless of restrictions. Restrictions don't affect creativity. Oh boy. So I don't know if they know this, but like the phrase restrictions breed creativity is a very common phrase. And it often has to do with like creative design or anything creative, really. When faced with boundaries, individuals and groups are often forced to think outside the box and find novel situations they may not have considered otherwise. Almost like looking at like pack filler and being like, could I play this? This concept is widely recognized and has been observed in various fields, including design, writing, everyday problem solving, card design, deck building, I would say even. But this person, I don't want to say they're just wrong, but I don't think they were aware of the phrase restrictions breed creativity, because it's a very common phrase. Mark Rosewater mentions it all the time when he's talking about card design for Magic the Gathering. It's very much an established concept. I'm sorry to say. And then here's him being very wrong a second time. He sees me mention pack filler and DD post. And he says, without a ban list, you'd need to ban hundreds of cards before a card like DD Post is considered viable. This one hurt my feelings. You don't ever talk about DD Post like that again. Do you understand me? For those of you who don't know what inside joke I'm making, I have a whole video on DD Post. I liked the card that much. Let me show the thumbnail really quick. Here's me talking about DD Post for 20 minutes. Okay. You want to tell me DD Post ain't playable? Huh? Come on. Don't come at me with that. DD Post is S tier, I'll have you know. And the reason why DD Post is S tier, I guess I should show the card, I guess. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I won't go 20 minutes into talking about it. Let's go to my favorite website ever, YGO Pro Deck. The main reason why DD Post is freaking amazing is because it is, as far as I know, the most generic way to shuffle back banished cards into your deck. Once per turn, during the main phase, you can banish one card from your hand or graveyard. Then you can shuffle one of your banished cards into the deck. It does not target the banished card, and being able to banish cards from your own hand or graveyard can net you benefits. There are cards that benefit off of that, including this card. If this card is banished, you can place it face up on your field. That doesn't seem powerful to somebody who does not play Domain format. To people who do play Domain format, they're like, oh my god, that's amazing. Staple cards like Hand Traps, Ashen, Perm Dominus, and earlier cards like Solemns were made with increasing power level in mind. Ironically, with Highlander, you hurt slower decks by restricting their best tools, especially so without a ban list and Hand Traps all at one. Going first is too big of an advantage. So in a 1v1 sense, where you're like trying to completely stop as much of your opponent from comboing off like crazy on turn one, yes, you need Hand Traps. Yes, you need to be able to play Ash Blossom in any deck. In Domain, it's different, man. Like, if you watch, again, my video explaining a lot of beginner concepts about Domain format that are misconceptions, 1-for-1ing is not good in Domain. That is a free +1 for 2 other people. It's not good, okay? It's much less required in Domain format. This format would evolve into a toxic combo fest, aka dice roll generator. Again, this person does not have experience with the format. This is not the case. I don't have data to back my claim up, but from my experience, like whoever goes first is not typically like, I don't know what their win rate percentage increase is over every other person in the rotation. I know in Magic the Gathering, there is a pretty sizable win percentage increase for the person who goes first, but that's because they're the first person to play a land, and then they're the first person to play a second land, and then they're the first person to play a third land. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why in Magic that's the case. whoever goes first has a huge advantage. In Domain, not so much. And then they try and do like a gotcha. They again quote me about the creativity, but and then he mentions that there's a restriction on domains. You literally discourage creativity with his rules. This is the antithesis to Yu-Gi-Oh! Just go play Magic. I discourage creativity by forcing people to get creative to find cool cards to play. Again, this person is not like familiar with the concept of restrictions breed creativity. Also, you can't play Ash unless your commander's fire zombie. This format is so bad. Again, this person just has a very strong opinion about the format with clearly not much experience with the format. But we got somebody else agrees. You know, this clearly isn't like a one-of thing. This is kind of like a pretty common misconception, I would say, about Domain. That's just me, man. Like, and the thing is like these people can have these opinions about the format. I'm not gonna like tell them they're wrong and they have to agree with me. I'm more than okay with saying like, look, clearly we disagree. If you don't want to play Domain, I'm not gonna make you. And I don't want to make you if you don't want to do it. I also think though, if you tried it, you'd have a fucking blast. This should have the advanced format ban list applied to it. Otherwise, this sounds like a great way to get casual Yu-Gi-Oh format going. I mean, if you want to play with like your friend group and say, hey, look, can we try out Domain, but like everything that's banned in advanced is banned in Domain? Go for it, man. Do whatever you want. There's just too many rules. The best way to get a casual format is to having a harsher ban list so few cheap options are viable. What? There's too many rules? I mean, like all of the rules are based around like the concept of domain. And that's just to explain how domains work and whatnot. And how the Deckmaster functions between the field and the domain, you know, Deckmaster Zone, how to summon it. Like that's the bulk of the rules for Domain. How the Deckmaster works, how your deck building restrictions are applied because of your Deckmaster that you pick, and then the few things that you need to know about multiplayer formats, you know. But that's just my opinion, man. Anyway, that was Reddit's response to Domain format getting a TCG article written about them. That was a wild ride. This video is probably a lot longer than I'd like it to be. For whatever it's worth, I like hearing criticism. I'm okay with hearing criticism. I'm not personally attacked by any of these things, except the DD post comment. Other than that, I'm totally fine with seeing how people react to the format. I like hearing people's ideas. I generally like positive discourse. So it was interesting seeing what they thought about it. What do you guys think about Reddit's reaction to Domain? Let me know. You can react to the reaction. We can start a reaction down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.